Then take ask somebody for a bucket of water and wash it off. And then one of the guys would run with one of these rubber, oh goodness, there's a name for it. Sort of like a brush, a broom, except it's got a flat rubber blade to push it into the oil trap. And I said to him, whoa, boy, you steep that into your oil trap and your oil trap's gone, boy. When your recyclers come to collect oil, they see that, they're not going to want it. So they said to me, why? So I said, because this product is going to break you, that is no longer going to be oil. It's going to be a neutral, biodegradable product now. So you can just sweep it down the drain. And if you're lucky, it'll probably clean the drain as well. And hey, the oaks were impressed, man. And I wasn't there to sell them anything. I was there purely as a start building up some momentum and get a few spectators and a few fans. All right? So coming from that, I got an offer to take our scientists, bring them up to Durban, and we went to go and give them a quote to clean the Centurion Lake. Any of you guys who've been to Centurion will know that there's a massive big lake in between the shopping centres. And this product, what it also did was that I don't know how to explain this now. It's been quite a long time. But it would remove all the heavy metals out of the water. Besides, it would reduce any organic matter. Even the froth in the water, it would sort it out too. And you'd apply it once and last about 5 years. It looked very much like the stones you use in the fish tank, except they were aerated. And what you would do is you'd spread them in lakes and ponds, and for that 5-6 years, that would continuously biodegrade organic matter, and that way it kept the water clean. It kept the oxygen levels at an acceptable level. It managed the pH. If you had fish in your ponds or whatever, you had insects and stuff like that. And my biggest opportunity I got was in Pretoria. I had met somebody, I think in a bar, while I was eating. And I got into a conversation with this guy. And I was telling him about the product that I was introducing into the Johannesburg area, the greater Johannesburg area. And I explained to him what the product did, and he was extremely interested. So it was really great. We moved from the bar, we found a table, and I managed to arrange the guy to get me an examination pad and a pen. And I was explaining to him, showing him how the product worked. And he said to me that he works at Pelindaba Nuclear Facility. And they've been instructed to clean up all the nuclear waste. And up until now, they have not found anybody willing to even quote. So it turns out to be that a Chinese consortium had shown interest in buying the Pelindaba facility, but one condition was that all the nuclear waste was removed. Now this nuclear waste was held, if I'm correct, it was 45,000 45-gallon drums of nuclear contaminated oil. And what I knew and what he didn't know was this company that I worked for, the product that I marketed had actually done a lot of work. If you know anything about France, France has a hang of a lot of nuclear power stations and producing nuclear waste, and normally that waste is transported in a hydrocarbon, i.e. oil. So I went home, and it was about 5-6 days, and I got a phone call, and this guy said to me that he was the chief microbiologist, whatever it was, nuclear physicist, whatever, at Pelindaba Nuclear Facility. And he said to me he'd like to arrange a boardroom meeting with me. He wanted to know, am I the decision maker in my company? And I said to him, no, I was a representative of the company. And if he gave me a date and a time, I would arrange for our biochemist. I would bring my biochemist up from Umhlanga and the owner of the company and my representative, which I had employed in Johannesburg. And very exciting, guys. Little old Gavin going to Pelindaba Nuclear Facility, for goodness sake. Eh? So what I'd done is I thought my little van that I drive just didn't fit going to Pelindaba, so I hired a Mercedes. I hired I think it was a 230E. And it felt great, guys. Pulled up to security at Pelindaba, filled in the forms, and the guy said to him, "Good morning, Mrs. Joliffe. Welcome to Pelindaba. And if you'll please drive through there and you'll park your car there. If you go through the stairs, the guys are in the boarding waiting for you." And, well, that felt so lekker, eh? Yo. Anyway, so we had our boarding meeting. I had a little bit of an issue because our biochemist was, he was very much a scientist, but not a marketing guy. You know? He wasn't a sales marketing guy. He said he had a degree in it, but I've met quite a few people with degrees, and when it comes to the practical application of their degrees, they got a D. You know? And anyway, so we had the chat, and then we asked if we could do a demonstration for them. So they took us into their workshops area, and they had a, what do you call those things again? Similar to the rubbish bin that the truck comes and it hooks it up and picks up this bin and it goes off with it. And it was full of oil. So, I did my normal thing. Asked one of the chaps to get me some water. But this time I was going to use a different product. At the time we just called it Deep Clean, because we weren't yet at that stage of branding, and we were still very much at that ground level. I'm looking for an opportunity, looking for a gap to where we would find people who were now not only interested in the environment, but were willing to allow us to demonstrate and explain why our product was far, far superior to anything else in the market. And guys, I'm not joking about that. That this was top shelf. And the most interesting thing that happened in that meeting was, after the meeting was concluded and we left, lo and behold, but I was called back. And I would have liked if they'd called back our biochemist guy. But anyway, so they called me back into the boardroom, just me, and this old buddy, just give me a second, yeah, I'm back. They basically called me into the boardroom and invited, showed me a chair to stand. And these were all Afrikaans people, right? And if you know Afrikaans folk, which I know very well, I have a family, even though I'm basically British, I suppose, heritage. This guy's put his elbow on the table like this, and he looked straight at me and said to me, "This demonstration that you guys did, you just did. Did I really see that oil dissipating? Or is this just a gimmick?" And I said to him, "Well, hen's teeth, man. The only way I can answer your question, but if you're going to talk frank to me like this, I'm going to talk frank to you. I said, do you really think I flew these people up from Durban? I had a flipping car to talk shit. I said, my friend, this is the most advanced product on the market. As I explained to you, the job's going to take at least 6 years. However, whatever nuclear contamination is in those 45,000 drums, you'll be able to put into a flipping matchbox." Where's the matchbox? Let me get a matchbox. That nuclear material you'll be able to put into a matchbox. Well, yeah. Into a matchbox. Then you laughed. And he said to me, yeah, part of what I said was true and part wasn't. But thank you very much for being honest with me. You do understand that this is a very serious thing here. And I was just checking you out. Expect my phone call. I'm not really sure what transpired, but I did at that moment think we were going to get perhaps some of the contract. The contract was, we were looking, I think it was something like 350 million or some ridiculous amount of money. And I would have been happy just to clean up the workshops. I mean, the workshop area is probably about 6 or 7 rugby fields. So that would have been really good money. And that would have given me more than enough money to set up an office in Johannesburg, train a few reps, train it just to a level of introducing, demonstrating, and, then I would take over and close the deal and, write up a contract and do whatever. So, once again, controversy hit. in the times I'm talking about, cell phones were a relatively new device. And the chap that I'd hired, unbeknown to me, we were sharing a house, to keep expenses down. And Teresa was working at as Unitas Hospital in Centurion, and goodness, I just lost track of where I was. So anyway, I waited for the call. I did get a call back, and the guy said to me that he wanted to just tell me that we never got the contract, but he would like to reassure me that we didn't waste our time. He was going to study our documentation that we provided, and he said that the budget for the cleanup of the oil, the nuclear contaminated oil, had been withdrawn because the Chinese offer for Jibapa and Indaba had been withdrawn. So, but he reassured me, and it was great to hear this old professional guy humble himself. And he said to me, Etienne, ek gaan jou nie vergeet nie, Wood. Ek gaan vir almal sê oor die product wat jy nou vir ons gebring het. In English, he just reassured me that I hadn't wasted my time. And he hoped that I didn't feel that my time had been wasted. We hadn't got the contract, and but the budget had been withdrawn, and the sale offer that had been made had also been withdrawn. So somewhere in the couple of weeks after that, my boss phoned me, and he said to me that what I've done is like really uncool. It was very expensive to send me to Joburg, and he didn't appreciate my cell phone bill. And I said to him, I don't understand. I am being very cautious with my phone. I know better than anybody the constraints we have. Even though we had quite a big budget, I understood. And he told me that my cell phone bill was 9,000 Rand. Now, if you put that into context, into perspective, my average monthly bill was probably about 1,200. What had inversely happened, what had actually happened was, this chap who was working for me, I would leave my phone on top of my diary at the dining room table, because that was sort of my quasi office. And when I went to bed in the evening, this bugger, he's passed away now, but I'm not going to say his name, he had run up a phone bill on my phone of 9,000 Rand. Now, guys, integrity is something very, very, very important to me. All right? And I didn't know what to do. I thought I could complete that, TWAT. So I resigned. With my boss at Oliver Tambo Airport, and I handed him my phone, my diary, because my diary was in my mind. That was the business's diary, not mine. With all my contacts and deals that I'd done, deals I was going to do. And yeah, I resigned, man. It was kake. And in the meantime, Teresa and I had taken the drive to Pretoria East. There was a Netcare hospital, Pretoria East Netcare hospital. And she wanted to go and have a look at the hospital because she'd heard that they were looking for theatre staff. And we went to Pretoria's hospital. And after that, we decided to just drive around. We took a drive down the Tierpoort Road. This was in Mooikloof. I think the area was called Mooikloof. And lo and behold, I driving down the Tierpoort Road, and I see a street named after me. Well, my surname. And so Teresa said, well, come on, let's drive up Jolliffe Avenue. And we checked this, like a stable, half-house stable thing on the farm. And both of us digged it, eh? And we immediately started daydreaming. Hey, we could turn this stable thing into a lekker house, man. So we found the owner, we found the gates to the farm, and we found the owner. And this Norwegian guy said to us, you know it's a farm, but I don't have any cattle. I don't have any livestock. I farm people. And hey, Teresa and I looked at each other and we thought, what the fuck have we got ourselves involved in? Anyway, it turned out to be, he said he'd tried farming and he'd failed. So he decided that he'd take some of the outbuildings and turn them into like little rentals, like little homes, you know. And his sense of humor was he was farming people. So we got back to the Cherry that evening, and hey, we made the decision like on the spot. Teresa said that they had a position for her, and it would be pretty easy to transfer. It's intercompany transfer, and the fact that there was a Jolliffe Road, and if you know Pretoria East at all, you know the Mooikloof Road, the Tierpoort Road, or the Tierpoort. I think that's what the Tigerpaw Road, I think in English. You had the national security guys at the end of the Jolliffe Road. And we lived we could see their aerials at the top of their building. And we both had a very good feeling about the place, so Teresa put in to transfer, and we moved into this sort of a stable stroke half house, whatever. And we were very happy there. Now I've got family in Joburg. And of course the family knew we were in Joburg. They wanted to come visit, and Teresa and I were very worried. What were they going to think of our stable house? Our stable stroke house. Anyway, the family arrived, and about a couple of aunts and uncles and cousins, and these guys were so enthralled with our house. Oh, it was lekker, man. Anyway, so I'm not working now, eh? One day I'm chatting to my landlord, and he says to me, come look what I got from America. And he showed me this little device. And talking to him about them, and he said to me that he liked to search on the internet for business opportunities. And what this device was, it was an AIDS test. Very much the same as when you do a blood test and they prick your finger and you put your blood on the goodie. But this one was a rapid AIDS test. So when I went to my landlord and I asked him to borrow the computer, computers for those were basic, I could work it out. You know, it wasn't as quite complex as it is today. And I made some phone calls. Then I waited until Teresa was on lunch, and I phoned her and I said to her, she must ask some of the surgeons at work if they've heard of a rapid AIDS test. Because at that particular time in South African history, AIDS was bad, and there weren't any specific tests for AIDS at that particular moment. And the only way you would have to have blood drawn, and it would have to go to a laboratory and get done there, and you'd wait, say, a week. And so anyway, Maleno told me that he got this from a company in Midrand. And I thought to myself, damn, if I'm going to be the only person in the country selling a rapid AIDS test, my goodness, couldn't get better than that, eh? So I phoned up the company and I said to the guy, I'd like to speak to your CEO. And if not the CEO, I most definitely would like to speak to a decision maker. So the person on the phone said to me, but we're not employing. And I said to him, I'm not looking for a job, dear. I'm looking for 20 minutes of your boss's time. So I got an appointment, drove to Midrand, walked into his offices, chatted to this guy, and he basically told me his sad story that they heard about the product, it had just been released in the States, and they bought a whole warehouse full. And they've been sitting on them for a year, unable to move even one. So I said to him, look here, if you're prepared to make a deal with me, I'll make a deal with you. And if you give me a chance to, I'll suggest you order more stock. And he said to me, yeah. I've employed lots of guys this year, and nothing moved. So I said to him, well, if you come look at, I went to the window and I said to him, see that van there? That's my van. Get your guys to load me up. I'll take whatever you can fit in the van. Tell me what you want out of the deal. And give me a bank account number. I'll sign an invoice for the stock. And I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I noticed he was sort of, almost like he was no longer interested. And I can assume he thought I was bullshitting. Apologies for the swear words. I shouldn't do that. I don't normally do that. Anyway, so what I did was I went straight to Pretoria East Hospital. Went to look for my wife, and luckily she wasn't busy. And I said to her, could you quickly find out for me who was the procurement officer at this hospital? And I need the highest level guy that I can talk to. So the chief clinician at this hospital got his name, went to his office, had a chat with his secretary. He said to me, he's busy. But by the way, by this time, a lot of the staff knew who I was because I was able to sit in the tea lounge at the theatres if Teresa was still busy and I got to fetch her. I was able to make myself a cup of coffee. If it was a plate of sandwiches or food, I was able to take a sandwich. This is the type of relationship these folks at this hospital had with me. So I sat there about quite a while, I sat there about 3 hours, and this lady kept saying to me, she's so sorry because he's busy, and wouldn't I like to come back tomorrow? And I said to her, well, tomorrow's too late. A little bit dramatic, but it worked. And eventually, this chap came out and he said to me, "You Gavin, eh?" So I said, "Yes." He said, "Come into office quickly and come, tell me your story. I need to take a quick break, so you come and sit in the office with me. I'm going to have a cup of tea. Tell me it, and you can tell me your story." So I explained the product to him, and he was interested. And I mean, he was really interested. And he said to me, "Well," after about 20 minutes, I explained the product to him. I explained to him about something I'd learned earlier on in my marketing career about availability, how much stock we had available, and the time period it would take to get me to restock. And he said to me, "Gavin, I'm very interested, but there's something I need you to do for me." So I said to him, "What?" He took a A4 scrap page out and he wrote down about 16 pharmacies. And he said to me, "What he's going to suggest I do is I need to go and sell this product to all those pharmacies." And he knows all the guys who own them. And if I was able to sell 10 to each of them, I need to come back and he would place an order with me. And he did tell me that the order would be preliminary because he wanted to share this new product out with all the hospitals in the Greater Joburg, Pretoria area, or all the Neki hospitals anyway. So, as I left, I asked the secretary, "Where can I get a map of the area?" And she told me that the local there's a shop most hospitals have a shop where you can buy magazines and newspapers and stuff. And I found a beautiful map book. Ordered myself some lunch and some coffee, put my scrap pad out, and I worked out a route that I would take. Now, obviously, cost is important, eh? So I kind of worked it out to the furthest point, and it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in Thursday afternoon. Took me 2 days, and I'm glad to say every single pharmacy I managed to get them to take at least 10. Now you must remember that this was just a little plastic device. No packaging, no branding in a bankie. And what Teresa and I and Teresa's son had done is we went to CNA and we created a little card that fitted in the size of the bankie. And then we placed each of these devices in a single bankie. You know, the card was an explanation about the product and the name, and the back of it we put like a little message about HIV and what it was and what it means, and a little brief story on there, just to make it look more presentable. Because nowhere was I going to walk into a pharmacy and try and sell this little plastic device inside a clear plastic bankie. So I moved all the stuff. And then the Friday morning, I went to Minden Park and I banked the bucks. Right? I wasn't given a price. I was just told he wanted 40%, I think. But I don't think he believed, from the disappointment he'd had the whole year of not being able to sell anything, I don't think he really believed that I would sell them. So the Friday morning I did my banking, and I thought to myself, well, damn, it's a lekker day. And I'd had some coffee at one of the coffee shops in Minden Park. And it was damn nice, man. So I thought to myself, I'm going to go Go pick up Teresa and I'll bring her out for lunch. So I went to fetch Teresa and we were sitting having lunch and my phone rang. And I answered the phone and this guy, I hear this voice saying to me, "Hey, Gavin, how the did you do it?" And I wasn't yet sure who was on the phone, so Teresa was giving me funny looks because she could hear that's how loud this guy was on the phone. And I said to him, "Look at my friend, whoever you are. If you number one, you don't tone down your voice, and number two, improve your language. I ain't going to talk to you." And then I heard this laughing on the phone. He said, "No, man, it's Fadera." I think whatever his name was. He said, "How did you do it?" So I said, "Do what?" He said, "You just banked money into my account. Are you telling me that you actually sold a few of those products?" So I said to him, Did you think I was joking?" I said, "I've sold all the product, bro. Empty. I need to come to the factory to get more, and I need you to arrange a trailer for me. Because I need a lot more stock." And this guy said to me, "Look here, you and I are still new friends, eh? And we're new associates. But do me a favor. Talk to your wife, and then you phone me. You tell me where you want to live, what sort of house you want, what car you want to drive. It's yours." And I'm like, I'm in shock. So I said to him, "Well, I'm going to have to think about that. But I need to come Monday morning to get some stock. I need this is how I need the stock wrapped. This is the volume I want. And I will be there at 7:30. Now, in the meantime, this thing of mine, this deformity or whatever you want to call it, had started worrying me. And one of the symptoms I have is I have a very big tongue. And I can't have my teeth extracted. And my fillings in my teeth had been breaking and they'd been cutting in my tongue. And I was a little concerned because my whole game is talking, communicating. And with my slightly speech impediment, and I had, through my young adult life, I had trained myself to talk and to talk clearly. And I just tolerated the pain. My teeth would cut my tongue. But now it seemed to be changing. And about a week or two before, we'd heard about some surgeons who were doing experimental work. Now, this thing I have on my neck here is called a hemangioma. To give you another name for it, it's called a low-flow vascular malformation. And there's another condition. I don't know if you've ever seen kids, or even, you don't see adults, but you see kids that got a sort of big purple thing on their faces, or on their lip here, and like it was sort of hairy. Well, that's called a topical hemangioma. And these doctors had been treating children with this topical hemangioma. and they were getting some success. And they were using a product called bleomycin that I don't mind saying. And what the bleomycin does, it's used for testicular cancer. What it does is when you inject any part of the body that you inject it into, a certain area around that injection, it would literally, this drug would kill whatever organic matter was around there. And this was used to treat testicular cancer. And they discovered that this was effective on this condition. So when I went for the interview, luckily my mom was visiting. And my mom, being an experienced nursing sister with an extensive experience, and my wife being a nursing sister, theatre sister, I thought I'd take them with my interview. And the way the people described how they would inject my tongue and they would inject me, we would do it over a course of, say, 5 weeks. They did mention that there might be some side effects. They found that there's a bit of inflammation of the lungs, but they found by just giving the patient some, injecting them with some steroids, they were able to sort out the problem. And they were willing, they first wanted to exhibit me at a symposium to discuss the process and my condition. And then I got involved in this AIDS thing. So now with the offer on the table, moving the product, the boss saying to me, you're going to give me a car and a fancy house with all this stuff. I said to Teresa and my mom that I really didn't need another medical condition to change the course of my life. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay the AIDS product for a month, and I'll go for the first 3 or 4 courses of this injection and see what happens. Hopefully it would work. And to cut the long story short, about 3 or 4 days, they injected my tongue, and they injected me in my lip. My lip was purple and had a swelling on it, which was, it's sort of come back now, but it was getting quite big. And it was a distraction, you know. Wearing a tie and suit, I was able to cover up this. What I found is I would be talking to people, and they'd be flipping, looking at this and not like talking to me, and I get extremely angry. And so wearing a tie and suit worked for me. It was about 4 days after the injections. I was at home. I was actually lying on the bed, and I had my notepad, and I was making notes about my marketing strategy that I was going to use, because I had planned to approach ABSA and FNB and all the big companies, big bankers, see if I could get them interested in putting up clinics in their banks and market the product directly to the public as sort of a first step, and then we would broaden it out to the general public at a later stage once I'd secured stock and I had some staff. And I was lying on the bed, and I started shivering, man. And eventually I had full rigors, and the rigors like, and I thought, my God, what's happening? It lasted about 2.5, 3 hours. And I picked Teresa up from work. Since I've been married, and whenever I've had a car, I've liked to always take Teresa to work and pick her up. So she came in at 5. By about 4, 4:15, I had got control of the shaking. We'd pick her up, we came home and she said to me, why are you looking so bleak? And I told her what had happened, and she said to me, do you want to go to the hospital? And me being me, said no. Once again, long story. And about 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, Teresa at that stage was doing anesthetics in theatre. So one of her parts of her job was to monitor the patient's breathing while under anesthesia. So she knew very much about breathing. And she woke me up about quarter to 1 in the morning. And she said to me, Gavin, I'm taking you to hospital, because there's something very, very wrong with your breathing, my boy. Don't fight with me. Get in the car. And I remember saying to her, but Teresa, you don't drive. And if you know my wife, Teresa, you don't ever tell her she can't do something. By the time Teresa got me to the emergency room, my liver was sticking out from under my ribs. And the emergency doctor, all I remember the emergency doctor saying to me was that if you don't stop drinking, you are going to kill yourself. And the assumption was I was showing symptoms of someone who had a drinking issue, and my liver was now fighting back. So I tried my best to tell her that I didn't actually drink alcohol at all. And I don't think she believed me. The last thing I remember was the doctors shouting and people shouting, and they were saying that my enzymes in my body were going berserk. Nothing was working as it should. Everything was going berserk. My liver, my kidneys, everything went. So I ended up in ICU for 14 days. I went in 84 kgs and I came about 61. So by the time I got home, Teresa had to pick me up and put me in the bath. She had to help hold my elbow to allow me to brush my teeth. And that was the end of my career with AIDS. I passed it on to somebody else. Probably should have made a deal with somebody and retained some of the income. But at the time, surviving was paramount. It took about a week before I could get behind the wheel of the car. So Teresa wasn't going to work, and she had compassionate leave. Anyway, so we eventually had to move. We moved to Pietermaritzburg. My sister's husband's dad had been moved into an old age home, and they asked Teresa and I if we'd like to live on the farm and to live there as if it was our own, and that we mustn't worry, the farm would never be sold, which I never really settled down with. It was a little bit too dreamy. But at the time, there was no interest in giving me a lease. So eventually the farm was sold. And Teresa and I ended up looking for a home again. Luckily, we found somewhere to stay. And Teresa went to a meeting in Umhlanga, either in Umhlanga or Durban North, about stem cells. And she came home and told me that they were looking for people to market this new stem cell collection process and introduce people to the concept of collecting stem cells directly from the placenta immediately after baby's born. And it was obviously through blood, and the stem cells were in the blood. It was then cryogenically frozen and sent over to Europe, where the stem cells were separated from the blood and then cryogenically frozen. And because stem cells research at that time was on fire, all right? Huge potential had been found using stem cells. So I phoned up the lady in Durban, in Pretoria, said I was interested and that I needed a few weeks to read the literature, do some research, and I would like to have an opportunity to market this new service in Pietermaritzburg. So they told me that there was already a guy in Durban who was in charge of Natal in this department, and I would need to go and have a chat with him. And if he was in agreement, yes, I could go ahead. So I went to Durban and I met the guy. We met at the coffee shop in Howe, or Kloof, or one of the, I forget the place. I wasn't too impressed with the dude, I'll be honest with you. Anyway, so I had a chat with him and I said to him, I wanted to know what sort of medical qualification do I have, because he's got a 4-year medical degree. And I said to him, well, I'm a marketing guy. And I told him my AIDS story about being the first person to do all the groundwork for the rapid AIDS test. And I convinced him that I was able to do it. And I went off, got home. When Teresa came home from work, I asked her who were the gynaes at the hospital she worked at. And I got the opportunity to have appointments with 2 of the top gynaes in Maritzburg. And nerve-wracking is, when I arrived at the hospital, wore sports jacket, nice white shirt, nice tie, smart shoes, my diary and my cell phone, and I was standing in the hospital reception. And one of the girls that worked at Teresa sort of was like rushed up to me and looked sort of flabbergasted. And I said, hi. She said, my goodness, I didn't know you were a lawyer. I said to my dad, no, I'm not a lawyer. But she said, you look so smart. You look like a lawyer. So I said, no, I'm actually come to see. And I gave her the names of the 2 doctors that come to see, and she directed me to where the rooms were. And I gave my demonstration to this guy. He asked me some very difficult medical questions, and I was, thank goodness, I covered all that in my study. And when my appointment was finished, and as we were leaving his office, there was a lady sitting in the reception waiting to see him. And he sort of bumped me like this, and he said to me, "There's your first victim." So I went and greeted the lady, and I sat down with her. It took me 20 minutes, and she was all in. She was about to have a baby in about a month's time. She said that her and her husband had actually seen on National Geographic about the research into stem cells, and she was quite fascinated that we could capture the stem cells and store them for later use, later in life, where the kid developed any number of diseases. they wouldn't have to buy or pay for a donor. They would be able to access their own stem cells. Anyway, I set up the whole deal, contract, payments, the works. 2 days before her delivery, this lady in Pretoria phones me and says to me that this chap in Durban feels that he should get this customer and he should do the collection and basically take over my work. And I said to her that under no circumstances am I going to allow that to happen. If her level of ignorance or his level of ignorance is so low, that's not my issue. I said, I've built up trust with these people. I've taken their money. I've got them to sign a contract. And are you telling me I've got to step back and a stranger arrives to do the job I had promised to do? And I said, sorry dear, that's bloody unethical. In fact, it's upsetting. And she begged and pleaded and said sorry, and then she offered me some money. She said to me that she'd give me 6,000 Rand if I agreed to not phone the client again and not be at anywhere near the hospital when her delivery happens and the collection is done. And guys, I think you'd understand how angry I was and how disappointed I was. Anyway, we eventually closed the deal with 8 grand. And just left a sick feeling in my tummy, because I take things pretty seriously, guys. If I say I'm going to market your product for you, you must believe me. I'm going to work 24/7 to get that product properly marketed. And that's basically my story. The last 8 years or so, hang on, whoa. About 6 years ago, we had moved from our little broken down farmhouse that I loved to pieces. And I thought, well, Teresa really would like to stay in a nice house with tiles and geysers and a swimming pool. And so I still had a bit of funds. So we moved into quite a nice house. One of the reasons we moved actually was I had got involved with the Undivided Roots kids. And I needed more bucks because this was going to be an expensive exercise. So we decided to leave the farm and go and we got ourselves a beautiful garden cottage with a swimming pool and one of the primary reasons why I got involved with the Undivided Roots kids is I was battling to sit at home and have nothing productive to do. I was already now in my 50s. And I had actually said to Teresa about a week previously that if it cost me money to have something to do, I was going to I would spend my own money and market somebody's product, do whatever, but just I couldn't sit at home anymore. So I got involved with Undivided Roots Kids, and we spent about almost 5 years together. It was at a time that their dad had passed away. And all I ever heard about from them was sometimes people were putting their names on posters as if they were playing at a gig just to attract a crowd. And so anyway, that's a 10-hour videotape all in its own. So the last 5 or 6 years now, I've been a housewife. I just decided to myself that I was either going to go crazy or I needed to make me being at home a job. So I've been a housewife for what do you call it? House husband. A reality I think a lot of chaps went through in the 90s. Suddenly in this country, found themselves without jobs and found their wives working and becoming the breadwinners, and the oaks stuck at home, eh? This is the time when a lot of guys started, their hobbies became their livelihoods. Some guys were successful, some weren't, eh? Some eventually would find work, not a career. So that's my story. Now my YouTube channel, the one you're watching now, I use that predominantly for the Undivided Roots Kids. And then I got pretty involved in the local music promotions, marketing, and that's what I originally used my YouTube channel for. Until I came up with the bright idea of doing a blog. And the reason why I've been telling stories about myself in my first, 5 or 6 blogs, and I've done one about load shedding, one about getting old. My primary purpose of the material I'm using at the moment was because I'm a nobody. Not in the negative sense, but I felt the need to let people know who I am, so that once I move into the next level of my blogging, which is what I'm going to essentially do, guys, is I've got a tremendous amount of experience in marketing and sales, from cold calling right up until doing up to, let's say, 1 million or 2 million rand type contracts. One thing I do know is I know what you should not do if you're considering opening a business. Now that business can be marketing a couple hundred chickens a month, whatever business you're in. And I've decided that I'm going to use my YouTube channel I've actually had for 11 years. I had 338, 340 subscribers who have stayed with me over that 11-year period. And now recently, thanks to the guys watching my videos, I'm heading towards the 400 subscribers. Just pause for a second, yeah? Yeah, I wheeze a bit. I know, I smoke cigarettes, but anyway. I've got a long story to tell you about the smoking. I'll tell you guys one day. Anyway, so my basic idea with the blogging is I was originally going to talk about things that interest me in international politics, local politics, and I recently got into quite a lot of trouble with some very sensitive folks, especially from America, because I'm really not a sucker for this mainstream media nonsense that you've got to put up with. You know, one of my pet loves from a very young boy. I loved history, and I very often found that a lot of folks comment about stuff they know nothing about. So then I changed my mind about that, and I decided. Well, I sat down and I like to sit to the pen and paper, you know. And I decided, well, I've got about 25 to 30 years experience in sales and marketing, mainly focused at new ideas. Some of them seemed on the face of it quirky. I've got a tremendous amount of experience in small business in terms of customer relations, how one deals with a customer, how to close a deal, and how to do good deals. A chap that comes into my office and says, I've got 20 deals. And by Monday morning, he's lost 18 of them. Please, man. That ain't a good deal. So I have all this experience. Now, what's different about then and now is then it was face-to-face business. Right? Having my customer in front of me. So what I became curious about a couple of weeks ago was whether I could convert that into an online business. All right? Now, I'm not the type of person to go and read up about online businesses and how you're supposed to do it and how regular business does it. I am more inclined to conceptualize my own plans and use rules that I've learned through the years. One of those rules is, first of all, if you're going to be marketing a product for a company, you need to know everything you can possibly know about that company first. And who are the people involved in the company? For example, if I want stock, who do I contact? If I need to discuss finances, who do I contact? Only then do I then put my attention to who are my potential customers. And then I formulate a plan as to how I'm going to approach that. And I've always believed in setting a target that you want to reach, not allowing circumstance, finances, any number of excuses you want to come up with. That's not how I do business. I set my targets based on what I want, and I then work my way towards that goal. And I'm not the sort of person that wants to spend a whole lot of time and not be earning revenue. So, that phrase, work smart. Yeah. I tried it many, many ways, and I've really realized that working smart is the best way. So what you do is, for example, I'm going to be doing a bit of promoting of what's called tiny homes. A concept I've seen in America, and I've been reasonably fascinated about, but I did find myself having a lot of criticism about a tiny home. Well, recently one of my mates who I promoted as a musician, he's actually involved in a family business, construction business, and they are doing this tiny home. So, excuse my sketchy explanation right now, but I've yet to make an agreement with them. So you will be seeing a little bit of advertising. But what I hope to do is to introduce you to this new tiny home concept and then chat about it to you. And hopefully people who are interested will comment. And I'll attempt then to answer your questions. And see if we can move some tiny homes. The need for accommodation in this country is huge. For the younger business guys, the rental and accommodations in the cities is exorbitant. So, having said that, I have an idea. So you will be hearing about the tiny homes quite soon. I think that's my story. Whether it's pretty long-winded, eh? What I might actually do is redo this video. But I will, when I'm finished here tonight, I will download the video and have a look and see where I can tighten it up. But that's my story tonight. Hope you guys found it interesting and informative. Please feel welcome to comment. And I've got a thick skin. So you're welcome to comment. Positive or negative. It's actually quite important for me to get both sides, so that I can also improve my presentation skills. And I won't be wearing a suit, guys. All right? My wife says I say too many times. However, that's how I speak. I like to be authentic, guys. I'm not going to put pretenses on and speak in a certain way. However, when I'm involved and I'm doing a deal, a business, I accept the responsibility and I do take it very seriously. But to be authentic for me is very important. So I present myself as I am. I'm not putting on airs and flares and getting dressed in a suit and tie and trying to look something that I'm not. So if any of you out there have got small companies, hopefully something interesting, guys. Perhaps a new invention, a new idea that you'd like to market and share with people. I'll happily chat to you about it. And thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and most important, guys, subscribe. And why do I say that it's important? Well, a YouTube creator needs to have at least 1,000 subscribers before I'll be able to monetize my Mr. Gavin Paul channel. Guys, thanks very much. I'm losing my voice. Have a good evening. Over and out. And God bless.